לנשום אהבה. Good morning. This is Samuel Jacob Kirshner, voice of the breeze, introducing you to the voice of peace.
Ici, la voix de la paix, émettant de quelque part dans la Méditerranée sur 1540 kilocycles.
From somewhere in the Mediterranean, we are the voice of peace on 1540 kilohertz.
Right now, you can listen to the voice of peace on FM stereo. That's right, 100.
Oh my God, the voice of peace. So in the late 60s, early 70s, there was this man by the name of A.B. Natan. He was an Indian-born Israeli pilot who had this aha moment and decided to purchase an old boat and park it in the territorial water near Israel and Egypt. And for a couple of years, he had this 24-hour transmission broadcast called The Voice of Peace. And he would be playing all this amazing music and inspirational words all about peace. And we were all captivated, those of us living in the area at the time, we were captivated by him and how he managed to express the voice of peace in the midst of this turmoil, this political, unrestful turmoil in the Middle East, in the Israeli area, and, you know, Israel and Egypt and Jordan and Syria and Iraq and Iran and Saudi Arabia and Lebanon. All these countries were basically at the state of war. And he had this vision, this amazing vision and this courage to do what he did. And he even flew at some point a small plane to Egypt. And of course he was sent back, but in some crazy way, you know, the president of Egypt at the time, Anwar Sadat, came to visit in Israel and spoke to the Israeli parliament. So A.B. Natan proved that in the midst of turmoil and unrest and war and hostilities, the voice of peace is the voice of peace, and the voice of love is always welcome and impactful. And I'm telling you all of this because recently somebody, a friend of mine in Israel, has said to me, "You are the A.B. Natan of the souls and the breath." And I kind of took it a little personally, and I thought, well, I am no A.B. Natan, but the idea of having something like this right now, having, you know, there are so many, technologically, so many arenas possible in which, and platforms in which you can reach so many people with messages of love and peace and harmony in a world that's so filled with turmoil and division and hatred. So I'm inspired, and I'm looking to do that in some way. You know, that's my calling. So A.B. Natan used to also recite this amazing piece that was written by Max Ehrmann in the 30s called Desiderata. So I want to play it now. I recorded it a couple of years ago, and here is my version of the Desiderata.
Go placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others. Even the dull and the ignorant, they too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexations to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain and bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career, however humble. It is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. Be yourself. Especially do not feign affection, neither be cynical about love. For in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of the years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune, but do not distress yourself with dark imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore, be at peace with God, whatever you conceive Him to be, and whatever your labors and aspirations. In the noisy confusion of life, keep peace with your soul. With all its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. Be cheerful. Strive to be happy.
Wow. Every time I hear the Desiderata, I feel pretty much the same way. I feel that it touches my soul. Not unlike how I feel when I hear the Hopi message. Some words have that impact on the soul. And for me, I know that my soul's job, that which connects me to the joy of being, is to sing life's song, to breathe love. So, I like to speak about some specific incidents in life in which, when I breathe love, when I remember to breathe love. It transforms the situation, definitely my perception of it. Last night, I went to one of my favorite restaurants in the whole world. It's a Palestinian restaurant in Patterson by the name of Al Basha. I've been going there for about 16 years. And I've been
love.
not only enjoying the food which I grew up with back in Israel. I lived in a town that was half Jewish and half Muslim and or Arab. And I remember, as a kid going to the Arab part of the town to have hummus and falafel, and how much I enjoyed it. And I had no awareness really much of any conflict. There were no problems between the people, really. It was not dangerous, it was not threatening, very safe and felt wonderful. And now, so many years later, like 50 years later, 60 years later, I go back almost every weekend for that feeling. That feeling that you get when you grow up with a certain food. You know how food can remind you of your childhood. I go for that feeling, and 20 minutes away from Manhattan, I drive with my friend Gail, and we go and have this amazing meal there. But more than the meal, I almost feel like we bring peace when we go there. We have also become very close to the owner, Yasser, and he is now his son is going to get married, and his son, who used to be a teenager when we met him, when we just started going there, is going to get married, and we are invited to the wedding. And last night we met the in-laws. And there was a moment that we were sitting at the table with the in-laws and just discussing things. And then the man, the father of the bride, was talking about his family. He is from the Gaza Strip. And he talked about the fact that his family cannot come over to the wedding, and because the Gaza Strip is pretty much blockaded. And all I could do, hearing about his 90-year-old mother who can't come to the wedding of her granddaughter, all I could think of was, I could think of so many things, but then I just remembered to breathe love. And I started to breathe love. Of course, nobody knew about it. It's an inside job. And I opened my heart and I focused on my breathing, and I was breathing with ease. And I was just sending compassion with my breath to the situation, to the table, to myself, feeling, pretty much distraught. And I don't know, I do know that it felt like a very valuable experience. Obviously, I didn't get into any conversations about the situation. There was no need to. But something about just breathing love and taking that initiative to send love, compassion, and kindness to the emotions involved, which were floating around the table. It was very powerful. And rich. And when we left and hugged, the man said, you know, there was never a problem between the people there. The problem is never between the people. It's the political situation. And the people who are pulling the strings behind. And it was so real for me also, you know, the way I feel about what's happening right now here in America. There seems to be such a transparency of the dichotomy between humanity and ego, greed, power, control. Yeah. So I believe so much in the power within and the power of the soul to transform situations on the outside, external situations that are out of our control, really. We can't control it. All we can do is protest, express, you know, thank God we live in a free country where we can still express ourselves. I say still because nobody knows. But beyond expressing oneself, I really feel very strongly about taking care of ourselves, taking care of our soul. Actually connecting to our soul and listening to our soul. And the soul's wisdom is often very different than the wisdom and the intelligence of the head, of the mind. I have a lot of appreciation to the skill that is so important nowadays, to be able to empty our ego fear mind and fill it with breath, love, and soul. It's almost a skill of survival and of thriving. Our inner life is very, very powerful. And perhaps, especially now, people are living so much out of themselves, so much in the external world. It's a great reminder to pull in, you know, meditation, to check in to our feelings and our thoughts, and our bodily sensations, and to follow the pace of the breath, and to listen to the wisdom of the soul. This is what I feel is behind the mantra, breathe, love. So perhaps I can take you now through the 5 steps of the breeze, like a shorter version of it, in which we will be prompted to breathe love by doing the 5 steps, which are shaking, blowing, standing, walking, and dancing. So just participate if you would. If you cannot do it physically, you can even visualize it. But doing it physically, even homeopathically, physically, is very helpful. Breathe love with the 5 steps of the breeze. Pay attention to your breath. Slow it down, breathing in on the higher chime and out
child.
Breathing through the nose.
Be one with the breath. Shake and awake your numbness and disconnect. Feel the breath in your body and breathe with ease. Flow like a river and let go. Align your breathing and moving with the music and let go of struggle. Stand like a tree and make space. Open your heart to the breath and allow it to heal and wash clear constrictions, pains, fears, and struggles. Walk with grace. Walk the talk. Be present. Find your authentic pace and discover your original self, moment by moment, breath by breath. Dance and celebrate. Breathing love, the joy you were born with, your original self.
Yeah. So, how are you feeling right now? Do you feel a little difference? What is the voice of your soul saying to you right now? You know, the voice of my soul usually does not speak to me very loudly. And sometimes it doesn't speak to me in words, it speaks to me more through emotions. And if I check and look at how I'm feeling right now, I'm feeling that my focus of attention has dropped more from here, from the head, more to the heart and the diaphragm and the belly. Feels more grounded and more expansive, more joyful and light. I trust this intelligence, this wisdom of the soul. And if there's anything I feel that I would love to be of service, is to help people to access the voice of their soul through following their breath. The breath and the soul are interconnected. I love in Hebrew how the word for soul and for breath is pretty much the same. Neshama and Neshima. So, yeah, as much as possible, I try to live in this space of awareness, of seeing when I get triggered by fears, trauma, stress, ego, which happens several times a day. I can count on it. And I have a practice, a daily practice, and my practice is all about intercepting, not letting it linger too much and then escalate into depression, into disconnect, into anxiety, but to really catch it as fast as possible and to start following my breath and really open my heart to listen to the soul. And everything seems to shift and change when I do that. And that's what I love doing with others, basically supporting, assisting, guiding them how to develop a daily practice of conscious breathing and accessing the wisdom of the soul. If you'd like to know more about our offerings, you can go to our website, which is thebreeze, BREAZE.com. And there, all our offerings are pretty much displayed on the homepage. We have trainings, 7-week trainings to develop a daily practice. And then we have a 12-week training of Artists of Living when you are fully committed to live in the present and be held accountable for practicing daily shifting from fear to love, from stress to breath. And I do individual counseling sessions, both in person and on Skype. And our weekly live stream happens on Saturday morning at 8, and then it's on YouTube 24 hours a day, and on the website at the Gym for the Soul. So it's that time now. There's more light since I started this half an hour ago. So this is Samuel Jacob Kirshner, Voice of the Breeze, wishing you a day filled with joy, oxygen, and ease. Have a wonderful week. Take care of yourself. Breathe.